Board of Appeals. Thank you, Sue.
Benjamin Laguerre / Down East Investments LLC, 2020th Street, is requesting a finding for relief from section 97(4)D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, as the proposed construction will increase the height of the dwelling on the lot located at 2020th Street, Plum Island, Newbury. Assessors map U03 128.
Okay, come on up.
Alright, can I use the chair? I bought an easel for tonight, and of course I get in my car. And
As long as that
it's
works.
not there,
that
yeah.
works for us.
Just to kind of, okay, I can hold them. Alright, so, my name's Ben Laguerre. I'm here to present a new home to replace a pre-existing non-conforming one at the lot of 2020th Street. The lot is non-conforming due to lot size, which is 4,835 square feet. I think 40,000 is required, and frontage is 70 feet where 125 is required. Due to these non-conformities, it kicks us into request for a special permit finding under section 97-4D for height going from, it was 20.3 feet up to 31 feet. So we're proposing to replace the existing 4-bedroom home with a 3-bedroom home. We're moving it slightly so that we can meet all the setbacks on the lot, and we made the lot coverage and FAR better than what was there before. We actually, lot coverage, we were able to sneak just under the required limit, so we comply with that. They were like over by 0.4 or something. So this is a rendering of the front of the home. It's a 2-story dwelling. There's a drive-under garage. We do have to be up on piers anyway for the FEMA and floodplains. And basically it's 3 bedrooms on the 2nd floor with stacked decks up front by the water. You can see the elevations show very similar, same thing. You can kind of see the difference in the height. The existing house is, the first thing we looked at was to renovate, and it's on pretty much tree trunks. It's low to the ground. There's nothing sturdy about it, and I think even with FEMA, it would take more than the 50% rule to get that thing really done. And then we have the 2 FAR breakdowns. So as you can see, when we first started the design, you can see the shapes are similar because that's the first thing I did, is went on the assessor's map, pulled the shape of the existing house and tried to design within it. And we do have some decks. We eliminated some exterior, bump outs, a deck in the back. So the existing was, on my notes. So the existing FAR was 1470, and the proposed is 1383. I can show you the location on the lot. So we did try to take neighbors into concern when we were moving it. Basically what we did is I drew a line from basically the furthest blocked point of the existing home. So this house, go to the front point, which is the existing kind of protrusion. This home, I went to the existing protrusion here, and we were able to just slide it kind of back so that it actually doesn't impede any of it actually makes a lot of them better. Like this one will get better, this one's slightly better, this one's about the same. But we did take that into account when we had to move it to try to, not impede any further than we had to.
So do you have any plans other than?
Floor plans?
Yeah.
I just have the breakdown. I have some basic ones done. We haven't done the full architecture set yet, but
So you said you are going to have decks on the?
yeah. So the front is basically they're open.
Yeah.
Basically the first floor it would be screened, but we're not covering it. So I did talk with Sam, and we did that on purpose. It's not going to be a roof that could be enclosed later, which he said would knock into the FAR. So it's going to have to be just an open deck on top.
So So I don't know if I'm missing anything, but where does it show us the decks?
The decks are on, so right here, so you can see it on those, and then you can also see it on the elevations.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so online I tried to hatch them out so you can kind of see.
Yeah, okay.
So this drips right through into this deck below.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I covered it, I think I'd be like within, it was like 10 feet or something, but, you know, he said, yeah, I'm just gonna keep it open, there's really no need to have a covered roof. Said it stops people from being able to slap windows in there and finish it.
Right. Okay. You have any questions on it?
No, this one.
Any questions?
I don't.
Okay. Anybody like to speak in favor of the project? Anybody that would be opposed to the project? Tell us your name and what you'd like to say.
I'm Peggy Poppy, I live at 12 14th Street.
Okay.
I've been looking at the articles and the provisions in the zoning rules, and a couple things that I'd like to speak to. As stated in the purpose of these rules is to provide adequate light and air to encourage open space and to conserve the value of the land and buildings surrounding it. And so I would like to make a point. I understand that now houses have to be on pilings, but if you see what's happening on Plum Island, we're having lots of very tall structures, and it is impacting the character of the island. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Jersey Shore. I used to go there as a child every summer. And what happened on the Jersey Shore is that the whole waterfront was built with very tall, large buildings, which meant that the whole beauty of the shorefront was impacted by these buildings. And that's what you're beginning to see on Plum Island. And I think that that you should begin to consider that open space is not just land space, but open space is also height and visual space. And the more you allow these buildings to build up into the visual space, you know, the upper visual space, it impacts the character of the island, and you're never gonna be able to change that back again. And you keep approving and approving all these properties to go, you know, giving permission to go beyond the height that is in these rules, and it impacts.
Excuse me. Let's just stick with this project for a second. These are all within the bylaw. There's nothing that he's exceeded in height.
The existing structure will be taller. I mean, what it says in the bylaws is that, you know, he has to get a variance within to go over the existing structure height.
Because he's increasing the height of the structure that was there
Right.
Why he's here.
from 20.3 to 31, that flags him to come to zoning,
And
but
then you have to approve it.
he's still below the 35 mean height of the building that's being proposed, which is what the bylaw calls for. Just to,
Right.
And I just want to point out, we did, you kind of see in the rendering, we did take that into account. Like, I knew that was going to be height, and the roof height is pretty much as low as that's not going to be weird. You know, we're at like a 4 pitch, 4 or 5, and anything lower, I'd probably be getting complaints that it's ugly. Every time I do flat roofs, they're like, that looks awful. So we did try as much, and we didn't go 9-foot first floors. We went, 8 foot, which is kind of the minimum these days.
The other
Can
thing,
you-
Yeah,
Can
you
you-
can continue.
Well, can you explain a little bit about how it's gonna impact that right of way to the basin? That public access?
I mean, impact-wise, it should stay clear. I mean, obviously there's something going on to the right that, in that we'll probably have to, I talked to Sam, and I think eventually, the house to the left is a little over the lot line, and so Sam said eventually he'll probably gonna have to ask them to move the fence over. But it should remain clear.
And as far as, I mean, my concern is we just had a major fire out there, last summer.
Right.
There was a lot of problems getting the
Yeah.
emergency vehicles down there, and with
Yeah.
construction vehicles going down, I mean, I'm on 16th, and I know, we
Okay.
built a house, so,
Yeah.
we took into consideration, but we bought a triple lot, so we had
Yeah.
the space to put the vehicle, so
Yeah.
it's a different situation,
Yeah,
you're in
well-
a real tight,
Sam said basically, I can't do it now, but like, once I get involved, obviously we're gonna have to make sure that the roadway's clear, if the neighbors are coming in, and I even talked to the neighborhoods, I've heard some ideas about the boat ramp, and I even proposed that I would chip in, the only way to get that boat ramp back would be to like buy an easement from the neighbor, so that the that boat ramp, and I'd be willing to chip in as part of this, but as of right now, it's the left side that's impeding, so basically it would just be a small move of the fence, but it'll continue to have the full width of the drive. Right now, it doesn't seem it, but, yeah.
but
so
is there a plan of action right now as far as
Yeah.
how
I talked to Sam.
vehicles are gonna be moving around in that area?
Yeah, so I have
I
a
mean,
turnaround.
during construction, is that what
Mhm.
you're asking?
Yeah,
That,
I mean,
that-
it's a
it
big
sounds
concern.
like he's given some thought to it, that's
Yeah.
really not for us to,
Yeah.
decide anything, that would be between him and the building inspector, Sam Joslin.
Mhm.
So, if you have concerns, if this is passed, you should then, talk to Ben or talk to Sam Joslin.
I'd also like to go back to, just so you can clarify for me, because as I read these rules, it says the rebuilt structure shall not exceed the height of the tallest demolished or destroyed structure on the locus.
That's as of right. So if you want an as of right, if he wanted to take down the house that's there, and he wasn't gonna increase the footprint, and he wasn't gonna increase the height, but he's gonna gold plate that house, he could come in for a building permit,
And not see us.
and Sam could issue him a building permit. And as long as he met those dimensional requirements. The fact that he wants to increase the height or the footprint, we didn't at town meeting give Sam that authority, even if he meets his setbacks, which everybody has on the mainland, but you don't have down there because of the PIOD. We felt that it was sensitive enough that they should come before the board. But within the PIOD, he has the right with a finding to go to that 35 feet mean grade to mean roof. And the burden for a finding, it's not like a variance. A finding is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what exists. Substantially more detrimental. It's a little subjective, probably
Yeah,
each
I
one of
wonder
us
how you-
draws a
I wonder
different
how you
line.
define that. I
But
mean, how
what's-
do you define that?
Well, I think everybody defines it differently. I'll bet everybody in this room would probably define it slightly different. But when I look around and I see everybody up at almost the same level, the houses are all about the same. We force them up on pilings, we tell you, you're gonna go up on pilings, you can't have a basement. So now you gotta put this house somewhere 7 feet above the ground, or sometimes more, depending on flood level. Sometimes it's up there because they want to. So now you're already starting your first floor up where someone else's second floor would be. And so we forced them up there. I'm not saying that I agreed with it, not saying that we didn't fight back against the Department of Environmental Protection when we brought that water and sewer, and these were the requirements, but this is what we ended up with.
But you know what, there's a house that built just a few houses down, they did a beautiful job, and it's not a big tall structure. I mean, so there are ways to do it, and I would just ask you to think about asking people to be creative, because the more of these tall buildings you allow, you are impacting the open space and the feeling of open space, and it is changing the character of the island. Now, in this particular case, I'm being selfish because I have a view that is gonna be impeded by what you're building there, and it's a very nice view all the way, up to the bridge, and I won't have that anymore, and that's disturbing, because, it's not something I anticipated when I bought, because I looked at where all the structures and what does it look like now, and so then by getting, approval to go up, that's not something that I expected would happen. But I also would say this issue around the right of way, that is not a road, that's what is that?
It's a common, I think isn't it a public access to get to the basin?
It's an access
at the
road,
base?
it's not 20th Street, I don't know what it is, and so, you know, that is a problem, and it is a problem considering what we had. We had a fire right down there this summer, as you know. And if a fire truck couldn't get down there and one of those buildings caught on fire and the wind was coming in the other direction, it would have devastating consequences.
We are doing a little bit to help that too. Because right now, I mean, this is as wide as any driveway. The only turn that's tough is here, and we're actually gonna be removing this fence. So that turn's gonna be a lot easier to gradual go in, you know, so if you had a fire truck coming in, you don't have to make a hairpin, you can kinda just, you know, if they had to plow in, they
Can
can.
a fire truck get down there?
I mean, it's as wide as a driveway, so I mean, yeah, it's, I mean,
I think that's
Yeah.
something that somebody should look into the measurement, because a fire truck should be able to get down there, because if it can. And now that the fence, whoever that
They
other
sign
person
off
is
on
that
all
put a
building
fence.
permits, don't they, Doug?
yeah.
Fire department does sign off on building permits, I don't know if they look at access.
So that's a step beyond us.
I mean, I think if it got down to it, you know, we're gonna be having the smokes and all that stuff on the new one. I don't even know if the old one even, you know, if you go in there, it's being used and it doesn't look like it even, probably the electrical, I don't know what's going on, so.
Is there a ballpark of when, if this passes through, when construction would start?
Spring, we still gotta do the plans and stuff after this happens, so, you know, usually it's like a month and a half maybe. Yeah, I mean, there's still a little work after this to get the, you know, to get everything designed and done, but, probably 2 months, give it safe.
Okay, could you give your name to Sue, please?
Tracy Smith,
Casey Smith? And what's your address?
1716th Street.
Just so you guys, like, so I know which house you're looking at, that house is really nice, it's like the left, I think. So what comes down to, because I've built a couple houses like that, and it's really where the land is. So if you're like low, you're gonna be higher, but if you're up on, you know, if the land is at a higher elevation, you can actually sit lower.
But I suspect that was done not with a full second story. I mean, it looks like it's more of a
It's
loft kind of
pretty
thing.
similar because they do have a story and a half, but they have a pretty good pitch on their roof. They probably have like a 10 pitch, which kicks it pretty high. It doesn't seem as high because it's
Well, because it
yeah,
doesn't have the angle, the high angle in it.
yeah, it
Okay.
just sits really low because the ground slopes up a little bit there, so they were able to get that floodplain, which is like
But it's
9
the
or
corners
12.
that impact the view.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the roof pitch is this way, so I mean, facing the water, I mean, they got a wall of roof line. You know what I mean? It's not facing this way, so yeah, it's. I mean, it
Well,
is
I
what
think
it
there
is.
are creative ways to do it, but the other
Yeah.
piece is, so then we won't have access to that water this summer, probably.
You
because
still have some, so she just tightened it, and like I said, that's a neighborhood issue, because I can't see the town moving the boat ramp, but I bet you, I mean, in my experience, dealing with neighbors, like if, you know, if everyone made a good faith effort, like, hey, everybody chip in $500, can we buy a sliver off you? In my
No, she's
experience, a
not-
lot of people have said, okay, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
give you an easement.
No, she even put a post in the middle of the boat ramp, which is about ready to
Yeah.
kill us all, so.
It's not the easiest, but you know what, if we have like enough people come up with some, I've done it before, I've bought, you know, with even difficult neighbors, and I'd be more than willing to have help
Yeah,
on that.
she's not
Yeah.
even talking to anybody, she's.
Would anybody else like to speak on their opinion of the project? Okay, so I've got 2 questions before we go any further. One is, we have no dimensions of the rooms, which is required.
Okay,
You have square footage, but we don't have plans, we need at least dimensions,
okay,
okay?
I have some basic plans.
And then, on this plan, it says at the top, this is 8 Hutchins Way, and on the bottom, it says it's 20th Street, so,
Is that, who did?
I don't
Okay, so
know.
that's Everett.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can't accept that, unfortunately.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so that's Everett. Okay, yeah, that's, they left it up on a title block or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
And
so,
those dimensions are off.
yeah, I can,
okay.
I can ask him to change
Yeah,
that.
and you might wanna double check on the dimensions
Yeah,
before
So
you
it's
come
not,
back.
yeah.
They should, yeah.
They're,
If they have.
according to
Okay.
scale, which they're
Yeah.
supposed to be, even though it's just a block thing, they're not.
Okay, I'll double check, I mean, unless the printer kinda like, I did it in the, when it was on the Photoshop, it worked, but, yeah.
So,
I actually do have one other thing I'd like to say,
Sure,
just in terms of these approvals. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but there is a difference between people that live in a house or buying a house or improving a house and developers coming in and buying a property and trying to then sell it for a profit. It impacts the neighborhood, and I think there's a difference. If that was a neighbor who was putting in this request, it's very different than, because they're trying to improve a home that they own. By allowing developers to come in and buy these properties and then, you know, do whatever to make a profit, and it impacts the neighborhood, I object to that. I think there's something very different.
I know what you're saying, but you have to understand, we've had property owners that have lived on the islands for years, come in here and got approvals and then sold. So it really, you can't blame it, you know, you can't put it all on developers, and you can't say all neighbors are great.
Now, I know, but
So,
there is something very
anyhow.
different about allowing developers to come in and change the neighborhood
Right.
for the sole purpose
Right.
of making a profit.
Right.
It's,
You know, most of your concerns that you're talking about, if you really wanna talk to somebody, you should be talking to the planning board. We deal with what's brought to us and
Okay.
go by the bylaws that the town has approved.
okay.
And, you know,
And I
the
appreciate
zoning
that.
board, I mean,
True.
the planning board are the ones that formulate bylaws with input from the townspeople, and then it's passed at a town meeting.
So the plans that, the revisions or some of the things that were left out tonight that you're requesting,
Yes.
is that, are we accessible? I mean, can we look at those too? I mean, are
Well,
we?
yeah, when he comes back again, which
I
you'll
might
know.
just, I mean, the floor plans are far enough along where I probably could just have floor plans done by the architect and at least get that part done.
Who did he say?
Share those.
Cause I have a
So when they're
schematic
submitted to us,
design
yes,
that-
they're
Yeah.
public record, anybody can look at them.
So say again who it is that makes these rules? It's
The planning board?
Planning
The
board.
planning board.
Yeah,
They
So-
hold public hearings, they put something together, an article to go on the warrant.
So how would we know when something like that, are we
Well,
well, you
notified
can go
again?
down at any time and speak to them and raise your concerns. They typically, twice a year, will determine whether or not they're going to propose anything for a town meeting change as it relates to zoning bylaws. And the planning board representative, Martha Taylor, would know what those were going to be. And those would be available for the public, as well as to hear more about it at town meeting and participate in the vote.
So there won't be another meeting like this where the abutters would come to?
We're gonna continue for another month, so if you wanna come back again when we do, then.
There were a lot of other people that had come to other
That had
times, but they're on
questions, yeah.
vacation, and
Yeah.
so, you know, they couldn't come
Right.
tonight because
Right, I know,
it's been
Just the
going
way
on
it
and on
is.
and on.
they can come the next time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, my suggestion is to continue.
Okay, yeah, I'll just, so do you think plans, full set of plans would help and then?
Full set of
yeah.
plans would be great,
Okay,
but at
Alright.
least dimensions and,
yeah, I thought that, I mean, I thought I checked them, maybe, the printer, I mean, even if it's, you know, even if they hit scale to fit, they could
Right.
screw it up
no,
sometimes.
because,
Now, before we cut loose with the plans, were there any design issues with this? I didn't personally, I didn't see any design issues.
no, I don't
I
think
just,
so.
there's something else we probably want to tell them right now before we.
No, right, I don't have.
Yeah, cause I usually, the architect usually goes right after the meeting, but I can kick them off a little early and, get that done. But I'll double check that, the printer very well could have just
Right.
hit scale to fit and knocked it off.
Plans,
You know?
plans that you're actually gonna use
Yeah.
would be a great help.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
they
like,
will become part of the file stamped, and
Okay.
which will go to Sam and also be
Okay.
recorded at Salem.
I'm like
so-
99% there, so I could,
Okay.
yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
That, and you wanna get
Yeah.
this corrected.
Jeez, I can't believe, is that the only thing we saw on there? Just
Well,
that
it's-
little?
The only other thing, I know you're real flat here on this lot,
Yeah.
but I don't see where this dimension comes off any, average grade. So just make sure,
Okay.
make sure that you can live with that right to the inch.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I figured. I deal with that a lot, where you get in the field and sometimes you're gonna fail if you're high. So, I think they do have the contours on it, and it's really only like 6 inches or so side to side.
Isn't much.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you need to do is sign
Okay.
here, we'll be here on the 27th of April.
Okay.
And for anybody that's interested, this will be continued on April 27th.
Alright. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Take care.
Yep.
That was April 27th.
Yeah. That's one of the ones I had to
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready? The Blue Hotel, Ryan and Brendan Guthrie, 17 Fordham Way, is requesting a finding for relief from section 97(4)D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, as the proposed construction will be an increase in height from the original dwelling, which was lost from natural disaster on the lot located at Newbury, Plum Island, Newbury, Assessor's Map, U01, lot number 28.
Okay. Good evening.
How are you? Good evening.
We're well, and, so we never really heard anything last month.
Correct.
So,
We didn't have the paperwork, but now we do.
right, so just start from the beginning,
Okay.
what happened, what you wanna do.
Okay, so we have a little bit of an unusual circumstance in this scenario where the existing structure, which was the third structure on the lot, on the back, was ruined by natural disaster, lifted up off the foundation, so it was demolished. But we have,
When did that happen?
good question, I don't recall off the top of my head. I'm guessing probably a year ago, or maybe less.
I don't know. Remember, Doc?
I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do with it up till
Yeah.
this.
So, we have the, so this is the original site plan we had prior to when it was,
Has it been over 2 years?
no, I don't think it was, I think it was about a year ago. But we can double check on that for you, with the new compliance. So this is the existing footprint of what was there, documented before it went. And,
Was this a residence?
yes, there's a cottage.
Okay.
And it was at grade level. And so what happened, what we have here is the existing rear deck that was there. We had 2 decks on the front and back. An existing rear deck was actually touching the property line right here. Yes. So,
We wanted to make sure on the size of the existing building. We went to,
so we went to one of the ones that we had, and he gave us the dimensions all the way around the building.
Well, would've been nice to have that.
Well,
Yeah.
but this is, we got it off
You know
of
how long it
here,
took me to do that?
so this is what he gave us. And so we took this and used the same footprint, for the proposed project, building that we're putting on there. We'd like to put it in kind. And so we're using the same square footage for the deck spaces and stairs. And what we're doing is improving the setbacks on this so that the deck here is no longer, the rear deck is no longer touching the rear property line. It's actually gonna be 3 feet off the back property line. If we pushed it anymore, it'd be right on top of the structure in front of it. And then also over here,
So are you calling this the rear?
yes, correct.
Okay, so on the application, this is the existing lot, and the rear, I'm not even sure.
Right, that's 55 because this isn't here right now, so I put 55 to the rear of here,
Okay,
if that makes sense. I didn't know how to approach this because it was an unusual circumstance.
right, okay.
So I put 55, which is up to here,
All right,
and so now it's gonna be 3
okay.
because of that rear deck,
But
but it's actually,
previously there was.
Zero.
Zero.
Correct.
Okay.
does that make sense?
Well, it does now.
Sorry, I didn't know how to.
All right, no, that's fine, that's
I
fine.
thought that was the best way, because there is really nothing there now.
Right,
So,
okay.
and then on the side here, what was, what was 7.3, we're moving to 10, so it conforms to the side setback. So we're pushing
Say
it up.
again, are you using what's there now on the
Yeah, so
top?
right now, there's an existing
It's 35 is what you have? Or
3.5.
3.5.
Yes.
And
So
you're gonna make, in the proposed, it doesn't change. You just
No, 3.5 on this side,
Yeah,
over here,
okay,
and then 5 on this side, right here.
Okay.
So this one's changing to 10.
That's somewhat confusing, because I think
Yeah.
that, you did that through the whole application. You kind of used all the buildings on the lot, and
Yeah.
then you talked about just the building you were doing.
Yeah,
It would have been a lot clearer if you took the other two buildings and took them right away. And
Okay.
only dealt with the plus and minus for the one you've got.
okay,
Or you stay consistent with all three buildings and kept them that way.
okay.
yeah.
It was kind of
I
confusing.
apologize,
trying to track
I- again, I wasn't quite sure how to, I played it as the building's not there right now, so assume that you just have these two buildings and now we're creating this third. with
I see what you did, but without having you sit across from me, it was
Yeah.
hard to figure that out.
I would imagine, and I apologize, that's why I tried to put a narrative on there as well to try and help explain it a little bit, but,
And even your lot coverage, you've got
mhm.
23.6 on this page, and when I flip the page, you got 30.8.
Okay,
There's no consistency,
Yeah.
is what I'm
All right.
saying. So, which one is it?
well, we,
Okay, so,
No, I see. That,
and then if you go to here,
yeah, 30.8,
right,
yeah,
that's not the same, there's,
oh. I still think that goes, of course, you'll have.
I got 23.6 on page 2A, and then on page 2, lot coverage, I've got, where it says total percentage lot coverage, I got 30.8.
Oh, because we have 23.
So,
what was the 20?
okay, so,
What was the 30, oh, 30, there.
right,
I don't know.
Well, this is the same,
And then we got existing and proposed square footages on this page of 1425 is existing, and then proposed is 517. Those two don't make much sense either.
you know, we're probably.
Now, was these existing 1425, are those the two buildings that you had left?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that's what it is.
All right, that's why we can't figure it out, because now we're back to the other two buildings that we're not touching again.
Right.
And this is the one that you got proposed.
That's right.
Right.
All right, 517. And so. But 517, 435 and 184 is not 517 either,
It's 186.
right? So these two should equal that if that's your proposed square footage, but they don't.
This is, I-
Doesn't make
What's that?
I think I-
Yeah, but you take the 435, I think is the house, the structure itself, the building.
Mhm.
I think that was your decks.
I wonder if.
Add them together, that's what, that
I think
should
they
be
got caught
what
in
the
between.
existing
Yeah.
building
Stuff.
was in that
Yeah.
page that you
Because
showed
The
for
one
the
I have
existing
here
building.
is the same
But
page.
then when I go over here to your proposed square
Same
footage, you've got
exact ones with different
517,
numbers,
which
I
is
think this the
neither of these
revised
two
one, I just
numbers
got mixed
nor
with
the
old one,
sum of them.
which is-
Well, is that
I
the
just
one
got-
that's revised that they can verify? Is that replacement sheet for what was submitted that is the correct version?
So if that was only FAR, you'd think it would be closer to or that. Because that's your, must be your open decks. And that's your enclosed
Yeah, well,
structure.
yeah, we're
under the
only
roof.
talking about an FAR, we're not talking about lot coverage right now, okay? And so this is FAR, so,
So that's your stacked floors. So that's
Yeah,
this
that's
plus,
still on
what's
one
that,
story.
what's the little area above it? What's that second story above it, John? You remember?
uh,
Your,
what area?
That small area that allows us to get
On
on
the, oh, on the second floor,
Yeah, what's
Stairwell.
this?
on the, where the, roof access?
Yes.
That's ground floor. I got it.
Oh my goodness, what do you got here?
Talking
10'3", so you got 10'1" plus 6'5" times 10'3", right? That's this, is that what we're looking at? We're looking at this, right? This section up here. So does
16.6
this-
by 10.3.
does this plus that equal that number? Is that what you're trying to show us?
I would say yes.
So we need to see that.
I would say yes.
This is what I have here.
What's that equal?
Well, this is 68 square feet of this space right here, minus the stair. But is it the whole footprint, right? This up here, even if this is less than 5 feet of bedroom in this loft area, because it's in this space right here, the head height right here is about 5 feet, or it might be 6 feet, right there.
So you're not counting that?
Correct.
Okay. We need to know those things, though. We can't guess those things.
Yeah.
You gotta make that clear, or else we're lost when we look at this if you don't make those
So
things
you
clear.
you suggest that we should take just the structure that the new structure that we're having and deal with setbacks on that versus what was there?
Well, either do the 3 in total, or the 1 as it existed and as we're replacing it.
Separate.
Yeah, and it's probably the easiest thing to do is just take the one that
Yeah.
was
Yeah, because
destroyed.
now we're,
And just forget the other two. You know what you're gonna have to give us the other two anyways, because you need your total lot coverage there.
Right, and that's why I brought the other two involved.
They should be, but they shouldn't be mixed up in the dimensions and the square footages
Okay, fair
for
enough.
this single, because it's impossible to figure out.
Okay, there wasn't, yeah, okay, I understood.
Okay, so you need to redo the FAR, right?
So we're gonna continue this again?
Well, how-
We can't, there's no way to make an addendum or like a,
Do you have one proposed?
what's that?
An addendum or whatever you're talking about, you know?
I mean,
I mean, to sit,
A
it's
stipulation.
really
We
not, it's really
can't
not
sit
fair
here.
to sit here and work this out. It really
no, I
isn't.
understand, and it's not fair to everyone else as well, who's waiting, but if we come back with calculations that meet the criteria that's in our narrative, would that, if that would suit, if it suits the board?
We haven't got to all the issues yet, so
Okay,
possibly.
okay, can we look at other issues then, any other issues that you might have besides the calculations?
Do we want to discuss the setback issues?
Yeah, we can, we'll go here.
I mean, I'd rather get all of it out
Right,
in the
sure.
open.
Yep, sure. So,
Or any other questions you may have.
this isn't what we're talking about. Now, they have dimensions all over the place, but no dimensions.
Yeah, well, he's telling us he's disqualifying this, he's not
Right.
counting that as his FAR. So I think he's only considered his lot space at 82 square feet. All right, and,
Let's,
so,
We have a floor plan.
so 82 and 35, that's where you get that number, isn't it? Is that 517 right there?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, all right. Starting to connect some dots.
it's unusual, because there's three houses on one lot.
It is unusual,
It's
absolutely.
very complicated trying,
Do we have a detailed plan of the structure?
Of the existing structure?
No,
that was
no,
there.
the one you want to,
Yeah,
propose.
that's the whole set right
that's
there.
the whole set.
What were you looking for in it? In particular?
Maybe I missed, let me go through
This
it.
is
You
the
got that?
file plan, that's the
Okay.
first, it's only one bedroom house, so that's why you're probably thinking, where's the other one?
So it's just a bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bathroom.
And then a way to get up to the roof.
A bedroom and a bathroom and, okay.
Yep. Very small structure.
Good. All right, I thought I was missing something.
Yeah,
But-
well, yeah.
But I guess it's missing purposely.
And I actually went through and did all these surfaces,
Yeah.
right to the, right to the end,
Right,
so.
okay, okay, no, I thought maybe we were missing something, but.
It's one of the smaller ones that
Yeah.
we worked on, that's for sure.
Okay, so that part, you know, we worry about.
So height wise, we're only,
The mean is
28 feet.
And that's from meet and grade. You know, it's only about a 6-inch slope at that on the site, so.
Okay.
I did do the mean grade on that, and it came to, it's on the, I think it's on the plans. On the higher roof, it's at 28 something.
Okay.
It's on the other,
The other side.
It is to the peak.
yeah, but if you go to the other side, the opposite side,
Okay, 2810,
Right.
all right.
Yeah.
so we're way underneath the 35.
Yep.
Yep.
And, you know, that was one of the main things we wanted to obtain, to keep it low.
So, tell us a little more again about the setbacks with what you're proposing, I guess, is, and not, we won't worry about what was existing, you're gonna fix that the next time, I guess, because we're gonna.
That's what we're proposing, right?
Yeah, that's what he has there. So
Oh,
basically what we're doing is we're shifting it in 3 feet towards the front of the property, so that there is a 3-foot buffer between the rear setback and here. If we pushed it anymore, it'd pretty much be right on top of the other house. So, you know,
just gave it a little more breathing room just
Yeah.
for construction.
so the neighbor can't reach out and touch the deck from their property. And gives them a little bit more privacy. And it's more so, this back deck is more so just access to get up and into the property anyhow. It's not something that they
Was there any thought given to spin it
just spin it.
90 degrees and make it conforming all the way around?
Well, to be honest with you, we just focused on putting it back in kind of where it was, in the same location. And if we didn't wanna start, you know,
We have
creating more issues or
I understand, yeah, I understand how you thought, but we do have the opportunity to make it conforming. Is there anything there to stop it from,
We have to talk to
What's
the client and see how we feel.
what is the
it'd be 10 feet,
10 feet off the back?
yes, back and side.
Have it.
Yeah.
or have it all.
We're 10 feet.
Well, what it would do though,
Yeah,
is
but
it would
it-
take the views and it would screw the views up. 'Cause right now, this deck is looking towards the east and this is towards the west.
Well, they can get some views right through here.
Yeah.
And if they put it here, they'd be looking straight at the big hotel right across the street.
I'd rather try to keep it the way it is if we could, make it more clear on all lot coverages.
And they also have a nice open space courtyard that's over here, which is nice for all 3 cottages to utilize.
We're unsure as whether we can allow that to go back in the way it is. We've read the language, and we also have a ruling from town council, and we're sort of in a conflict on that at the moment. We are gonna ask for clarification from her. We don't
Oh,
know,
really?
we don't know if she got the full language or whether she got half a sentence, so.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. We have allowed things similar to this in the past, but the question is, now, with town council's opinion as it stands, she's saying we can't allow this.
Even if it was a pre-existing structure that was there,
Yes, yes. So,
through no fault of their own, you know, that it.
well, I can't speak for her.
No, I know, I understand, I'm just asking,
Yes, yes, Ginny Kramer.
because it seems, you know, we're improving it from what it was.
Yes.
I would agree.
We've always taken that into consideration in
Yes.
the past,
Right,
but,
we're trying to help make it better.
all right, so I would, don't know when we're gonna get a clarification. I would say you can think about this and do your plans this way, but you might wanna keep in the back of your head, you may have to spend it.
Can I make one point?
Sure.
I'm working on a house on a lot here, and one of the reasons why I'm involved is I wanna make sure, you know, good planning is where you kinda see what the next person's gonna be doing and what the other person's doing in
I
front of them.
remember we talked about that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And keeping it the way it is right now certainly makes this potential builder a lot happier, because you're not presenting that much area to this person to look at, you know. And we kept it low, this is the only high point here. So you might be that ruling might be affecting other people
Mhm.
who otherwise
Yeah,
may
sure.
not have a problem.
I'm not saying that it's better or worse for the neighborhood to leave it or to move it. We're just saying that we may not have an option, that's all.
Yeah.
If we have an option, you know, I hear you.
Right, and we, you know, like I said, we have done things in the past where a small improvement is better than no improvement. But, we don't have an answer yet.
Okay.
So I would think about both scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, and,
I mean, as of right now, we're submitted as like this.
okay, that's fine, that's your
And,
option.
and if they decide that, no, we can't do it, then obviously we'll have to go back to the board and think about it, but we're looking to get this approved
Yep,
as is.
okay. So you wanna get your application straightened out with the numbers, you know, reflecting this.
Yep.
Clean up those figures for us, yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
anybody could grab this file and make some sense of it.
And
Okay.
so, you
So
know,
how would you recommend doing this, without the lot, I mean, without the other two buildings on the lot, and just concentrate on what was here for this building and what is going to be on this building?
well,
Well, besides the total, obviously, for the lot.
There's still a lot of coverage that we have.
Yeah, you have,
Except all three buildings. right?
absolutely, but when you go to your comparisons, don't bring in the other two buildings and this, like the one that had the 1,200 square feet, which was the FAR for the other two buildings,
Oh,
and then you show 517 for the
Yeah,
new one.
what's that?
That's
Yeah.
confusing, that's very
Right.
confusing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when you get down to apples and apples, make sure you got the one building. If you're talking about the total lot coverage for the whole lot, yeah, absolutely, you have to take the other buildings into consideration.
So let me just throw this out there, if it comes down to we can't put it back where it was originally, then what we had previously doesn't really even exist. Because
Well, it
you can't-
exists,
you can't put
well,
back.
it exists because you've got a footprint there that now you're gonna be able to move. You've got 3 houses on one lot. If you didn't have that house there, there's absolutely no way you'd get that
No, I
third
understand
house.
that.
So that's the only reason we entertained putting it back there, because it was there.
and
So-
could you find out when that?
It does mean something.
Also, when it went down, when
Yes.
it went down.
That's absolutely, but can we do, is there a way that we can, upon verification that the numbers are correct with the narrative, that,
I'm sorry. But,
all right, I'm gonna have to go in and sit down with Sam or with yourself and go over the numbers. I'm not gonna go for another continuance for 3 months just because of numbers on this. This is the third time we're gonna be going to a meeting for something like that.
first time was your fault totally.
I understand, I'll
Okay.
take that one on my chin.
This one is,
But this is just this one was just because of its uniqueness and there wasn't a clear system as to how to put the numbers together. That I don't, it's not really 100% on our issue, so.
Well, I think also they're not comfortable approving based on town council feedback too. So if they approve something and town council says, sorry, you have to move it.
Well, that's a whole different story, I mean, it has nothing to do
I
with
know,
numbers.
but then they've already approved, made a decision on something that they can't.
So we have to wait for town council approval, when is that gonna happen?
Well, we'll reach out to her next week and when I come back Monday, I'll.
She's
I'll
here,
send
what, every
her
2
a note.
weeks?
Well,
We can email
I
her,
can
email
email
her,
her,
she's
yeah.
here every
So
time.
if
Talk
everything
about
were
part of that.
right now, you still couldn't make a reading on it, right?
I would leave that up to the chair if he wants to close the hearing. I think there's enough if someone else grabbed this file right now, there's absolutely no way they could make sense of it. No one could make sense of it.
and
I
I wouldn't
probably
feel
spent 2 or
comfortable,
3 hours on this trying to make.
besides that, I wouldn't feel comfortable, approving this until we know if we can approve it. From the town council.
Why would we put on docket if we don't even know if we can do it?
because the town council just emailed us.
So, I mean, tonight was a moot point coming to this meeting, really, because you couldn't
For
prove it.
us also.
Is there a way that we can get, maybe because of that scenario, that we can get this moved to a meeting very soon, rather than waiting till April
That's
27th?
the next meeting.
April 27th is the next meeting? This is ridiculous. This is so frustrating. I'm not pointing at you, I'm just, in general. It's just,
I can understand.
I mean, because of the council, we can't do anything until the 27th. And it just seems,
Well, we can clean these things up.
well, that's beside the point. I mean, even if we had these numbers correct and perfect, we still would have been sidelined until
Sounds
the 27th of April.
Okay, so do you wanna continue?
We don't have a choice.
Good, good.
So the only thing that we have to clear up is the numbers, and other than that, and the council approval, and other than that, everybody's okay?
Well, we can't tell you that.
Besides the numbers,
As long as it's not confusing, then we can, understand it and make a decision. We can't tell you whether we're gonna approve it or not.
no, I know, but I'm just asking if you had any other issues.
Well, as far as we know,
Conversation
no.
topics.
But
Okay.
before tonight, we didn't know we had an issue with the town council either. So. we can't do
So
anything
what
about
you're
that.
saying, if you have the ability to move something,
So, if you just sign it,
Saying
please.
move it so that
Here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, before it says that.
I don't know if she got all the language, that's why I'm kind of totally split over it, so.
In this case, it's better than
So,
I don't think so.
you can go as far as to see if anybody's for or against it, or, I mean, it would be nice to know if anybody's upset about it, or.
Comments from the butters?
Yeah, would anybody like to make a comment on the project, even though we're not gonna finish tonight? No? Guess not.
So,
That's good.
Thank you.
Good night.
You ready?
Yes, sure. Right. Well, sure.
I understand he's frustrated, and he doesn't, so he'll,
Well, it was, when he first came in with the application too, he was trying to pull best of both worlds for
Yeah.
everything, and I tried to.
Listen,
Julie Ostrander of 75 Old Point Road is requesting finding for relief from section 97(4)D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, as the proposed construction will increase the height and lot coverage on the lot located 75 Old Point Road, Plum Island, Newbury, Assessors Map U05, lot number 3. Good evening.
come on up. So do you have any, for the paperwork?
Do you have your abutter proof of mailing and your legal ads?
Turn on the little,
Yeah, the green or white cards, whichever you,
I have them both along with.
if I take these, yeah, that's proof of mailing, so.
Okay. And then I have
The newspaper ad, and your letter to us. So we need to- so
I just wanna see if I have the abutter list in here or not.
I have a copy if you need it.
she has two.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it in one. And the legal ads are there.
Do you want the receipt too?
You can take that one.
Okay, so tell us what you'd like to do.
Currently there's another home on the property that we would like to remove and, but it has some, I think this, in the application, do we have the plan for the application?
We did.
Oh, okay.
set.
But you didn't fill out the application.
At all.
Well, that's a problem. Sorry.
Okay, so this is for,
It's just done badly.
that's for lot coverage, which is, you should have what's existing in this column,
Okay.
and then what you're proposing,
Oh, yeah,
okay?
we did that.
Yes, and somewhere in the application, the partial part that you, not sure what you did, to be honest. The lot size, okay, the lot size is there, coverage. But you don't have the, FAR, which is your living space, your bedrooms, your family room, dining room, bathrooms, all of that needs to be filled out. This came with the application, but evidently you didn't realize you had to fill it out, I'm guessing. And on this sheet of the application, existing lot, the FAR, the height of what your trailer is,
Okay,
frontage, the setbacks, and
there's a lot of blanks
that's gonna need to be done.
there. Okay, do I take this or do you need this?
Well, that's already in, maybe not correct already, so maybe it's better start new.
From scratch?
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna write this.
Yep.
So that was page 2.
Yeah, well, okay, so this would be page 1, I guess. These two go together like that, and then you need to do these two. Right, so if you have plans,
Right, and all the measurements are on the plans. So I guess
And everybody should get the same plan set. Like this, well, this set here, this has been modified because we didn't allow this in conservation, so this went away. Conservation didn't even get this plan, so we didn't see the driveway and that kind of stuff, so we should have that. Make them consistent through, for all the boards.
So this, okay, so this went to zoning and you're saying you don't have it for conservation?
Correct. Or the same plan. We have a plan that shows the house, but doesn't show the driveway, so just make sure all your plan sets are consistent
Okay.
for all the boards.
All right, because I think I just got new plans today for conservation next week.
It will be,
That
yeah,
had
next Tuesday.
changes that were asked for last time. So
Okay.
should I update what I have here with those plans too?
If there are features on this that are not on the new conservation plan that are going to move forward, then yes, you want them on the conservation plan. Unlike your driveways and stuff I see here, that's gonna be an impact, so you wanna have your plan sets the same.
Okay,
How many bedrooms were in the trailer?
there's 2.
There's 2.
Yeah.
You've got 4 proposed here.
3.
Well, this one here that's called the study,
Yeah,
it's got privacy, it's got light, and it's over 70 square feet, so it's a bedroom. So there's
Okay.
ways that you could talk to Sam, and there's ways to disqualify it as a bedroom, a half wall. If you take one of those features away, if you take away the privacy, or if you take away
you
the
can
light,
open up the doorway to an archway.
that kind of thing.
okay.
Something
All
like
right,
that.
I thought we had already dealt with that, so I will,
You may have, and it may be that the architect didn't know, because he's got a set of doors on there now. He's got a set of doors drawn on it. He's got a wide opening,
Yeah.
but they've closed it up with doors.
okay, all right, so. This study is a study. Understand about that one?
Sure.
Because it has the privacy. Make sure all plans are the same.
Right, and as well as plans, you want your application to reflect what's on the plot plan, as far as the size of the lot.
Do they not match now?
even sure,
Oh, okay.
because you didn't fill it all out.
Oh, because this is
Right.
that information, okay, yeah, yep.
Okay.
I'm new and I'm sorry if I'm wasting anybody's time
Right,
with
no,
like
it's okay.
things, but
Yeah, and these might not be right either, Julie. I've got, lot size of 24,900, and this is listed as 35,600 and some odd change, so, there's some differences there. You might wanna
Yeah.
ferret those out, figure out what they are.
the 24,907, is that what it is?
24,907, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have that.
And this one's stamped.
And is that this number? For 24,9?
The 24,900, let me see if they did a, no, it doesn't look like they
Yeah,
did
it looks
anything for
like
the
he's
total, they
going
just put
into
it
this
over
one.
here. So I don't see it any other place.
And would it be a difference, is one of the, except for someone?
So how many lots do you own?
Five lots?
You own all of these four?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
they're
there's
all one
plenty,
lot now.
they're not gonna go over, but they've gotta
Right.
show it, that's
Right,
right.
yeah.
And the other thing is, you've established this right to the inch, your mean roof height. So you've got it right at 33.3. But I don't see a mean, I don't see a grade line down here that would give me a mean grade. So, yeah, where the ground is, but where the average of the ground is. This corner of the house might be, I'll just make this up, elevation 100. This one might be 99, this one might be 101. And it's the average of these that gives you this point to this point. And I can see where someone found the midpoint of the roof, that's not hard to do. But it doesn't look like anybody did the mean of the grade here. And that could come back to really bite you in the field when you construct this and all of a sudden Sam comes down, or you do an as-built and you're 1 inch over.
Okay. Mean grade of the lot.
Mhm.
Located, and it
Yes.
needs to be shown on the cross-section of
That
that
should,
one?
yeah, well, and it should be, make sure that once the mean is shown down here, that it verifies that that's the actual dimension, okay?
You didn't point out to her
What?
about not being of scale. and-
Well, I don't
can't
see
read
it
it.
on scale, do you? I can't read it,
Yeah, so your plans here,
so little,
are so small, it's hard to tell if they are to scale.
Maybe a full set.
yeah.
Need a full set?
No, they're not to scale, because it says a quarter inch
Yeah.
equals a foot, so
Right.
there's no way they're to scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need the plans to scale so that we can double check them.
Okay, so you want it to scale, and the big ones?
Yeah, so we can read it.
Thanks.
Yeah, please.
I was like using magnifier on my phone and read it this afternoon.
I can understand.
Okay.
Anything
I
else,
mean,
Julie?
this, I didn't have an issue because I have the deeds, I
Right.
pulled the deeds.
Okay, I tried to print them out today and they came out little too.
Oh, the deeds?
Yeah.
No, I got the full.
Oh,
Ones.
too funny. I went on
Yeah.
like the registry site, the mass
like the deeds.
deeds, and it's like.
When
tiny.
you print, in the bottom there's a little box, take the check mark out.
Oh, okay. Because again, I was reading with the little magnifier app. Okay. Plans. And we need, do we need 4 sets of plans? 5?
Five.
Okay, 5, and that's,
There's 2 more members that aren't here.
okay.
We'll do one through, well, you can take one of those.
And that's just for zoning, so then we can get yours to match to for conservation.
Yes,
right?
please,
And
yes.
just 1 set, there?
2,
2?
yes. It seems to me as when I was looking at the lot coverage number, I don't think that's the whole structure. I think that's just the house and not the decks, but I don't remember.
Okay.
So you wanna make sure that
Yeah,
it's
make sure,
total lot.
yeah, make sure that that's the total lot coverage, decks, stairways. It doesn't count ground level driveways, ground level walkways, those things don't count. But any structure above grade, yeah, that doesn't look like a big enough number to me.
No, I agree. Okay, so lot coverage. Make sure it's actually.
Okay.
Any other concerns?
Yeah.
this for me, for now, at least for now, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll be able to understand things a little better.
Did you need that back?
Not really, because it's
Because it's not right.
not right.
That's okay. But it gives me something to go on.
Just don't use the numbers that are on there.
Little floor area, that's not the same thing.
No, your lot coverage is what a bird would see looking down on the structure, every bit of the structure, the stairways, the decks, the house. Your floor area ratio is the area under the roof within the outside walls.
So your living
With no,
space.
but there's no deductions for wall thickness, for hallways, none of it comes out, so it goes from outside wall to outside wall. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's really, you have to do it for us, but with the lots you've got down there, I mean, the house would be gigantic if you went to the 25. So you're not even gonna be close, but we need to know what it is. Yeah.
That's
So, like everybody else,
Yeah.
you're coming back on the 27th,
Okay.
and if you could sign where it says applicant.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Julie.
Excuse me, you too. Not too bad, it's only been an hour.
27's gonna be a long night, though.
Do we have to do mailings again for that?
No.
one?
No.
No, your hearing is continued.
Okay, fine, thank you.
All right.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Gail Mercier of 5 Aurora Ave is requesting a finding for the relief from section 97-4D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, as the proposed construction will increase the height and lot coverage on the lot located at 5 Aurora Ave, Plum Island, Newbury, assessors map U02, lot number 188. Hi, Gail.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, so, explain to us what you wanna do.
I'm building an addition onto my current structure,
Okay.
the 10 by 10, actually 20 by 30. Put a new kitchen in that, and that's trying to get my mother on the island.
Okay, so you're gonna have 2 kitchens?
No.
1 kitchen.
The existing you see there, that's going to turn to a living area,
Oh,
kitchen
living
area.
area.
Three bedrooms in total?
Yeah.
2 existing are gonna stay, these 2 stay?
Yeah,
Okay. The loft is a bedroom?
not really, it's up above that area, short
Sub
walls,
5 feet,
yeah.
It's what?
sub 5 feet.
It's less than 5 feet,
It's
the
just
loft
like
is? Oh, okay,
storage.
all right, okay, never mind. Can you make some sense of this for me, though, then? On page 4, bedroom 1 is 97 square feet. Bedroom 2 is 99 square feet. What is 115 square feet?
That's the additional bedroom in the new addition.
All right, that's the additional bedroom. What's the 64.8?
That's the existing bathroom, and there's no change.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's
all
gonna
right,
stay.
gotcha, bathroom, gotcha, all right. Tell us about the unfinished second floor.
Storage in the new one,
Where is the heated envelope on that structure?
heated envelope.
Yeah, is that
Storage.
storage space within the conditioned space or outside the conditioned space?
There's not gonna be heat up there, is that what you mean?
There's not gonna be heat up there, so your insulation is in the floor, it's a cold space,
Right.
the floor is insulated, when you go up there, there's no heat that gets up to there.
Right,
is there a walk-up stair that goes to it?
Yeah,
Yes.
A full walk-up stair,
Yeah.
compliant stair? That may be a problem.
So I don't know, I've got a question here, I don't know if it's because the plan is small and my eyes aren't great, but, might be before it's- So this is,
This is the existing,
that's the existing,
the addition.
okay.
and that's the 10 by 10.
So what's this?
That's a 10 by 10 connector.
So what's the patio? Part of the 10 by 10?
No, patio is right here.
What, doesn't that say patio?
There's a deck above it.
Okay. Something there, right, I know, this is a
Does this
little.
view help you? What you're doing is you're looking down on top of that.
Okay, so
This is the addition, the existing homes here.
and this is a connector.
Yes, yeah, it is the
Okay.
connector. So it's
So
a
they
new,
can
it's a
use
new
that.
connector on top of the existing patio deck.
Okay.
Is that
That
correct?
helps
Is
a
that
lot.
statement correct? This
There's
area?
nothing there now.
Right, there's nothing there now. It's just a
Right.
flat, open
Yeah.
patio deck area, and you're gonna put this on it to
Yeah.
connect the two structures.
Yeah.
Okay, makes more sense.
So you're not permitting this under an in-law, this is just an
No, not
addition
an
to the, okay, no accessory apartment that doesn't come into it.
No.
Okay.
So. Since it was confused previously, I wanna make sure. Was there? So this is the first floor addition. And the laundry and
That's in the 10 by 10.
that's in the connector, okay. So you feel like we need, plans of scale for this addition? I would think so. Which we don't have. So, Doug, what's your question about the stairway? That's not anything I thought about.
Well, these things have a tendency when you allow full stairways up to these larger attic areas. We're having an awful problem with them on Plum Island.
Okay.
And we're sort of a mind that if we had something less than a full stairway up there, like a pull-down stairway, or a ladder type thing, it would be a non-compliant stairway where you'd be less apt to be able to use it or to use it for other purposes.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Radio and setback.
Okay.
Is that a floor issue or is that a compliance issue for, because we included it in floor
You
area?
include it in the floor area?
Mhm.
Then it doesn't, and it's not a third story, then it doesn't matter. It can be a compliant stairway then.
Okay.
Proposed second level is included in there.
Okay, yeah, then you own it.
Okay, so, what's your question?
Rear setback?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's subordinates on the existing structure, but the addition complies to all POID ordinances and setbacks.
It's supposed to be 10.
Yeah, it does. The addition, the closest point to the addition is 13.5. So it's the main structure that's at 5.7.
Okay.
Two issues of non-compliance on the existing lot are the frontage and then rear setback,
Right,
but the addition doesn't do anything to
Yep.
add or
doesn't
reduce.
have. Does anybody wanna speak in favor of the project? anybody opposed to the project? Do you have any other questions, Doug?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay,
As long as
so-
it's not an accessory apartment.
Doesn't appear to be.
Nope, they withdraw, it's not asking for that, so.
And it doesn't meet the definition for it either, right?
It would be very difficult to,
Yeah,
I spent some time thinking about it, but it's a moot point here now today, so.
right, there's only one kitchen, one.
As long as there's only one kitchen, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody wanna propose a motion? Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Which one are we on? All right, I propose a motion that we approve Gail Mercer's application for a request for a finding for relief from section 97-4D of the Newbury zoning bylaws as proposed construction will increase the height and lot coverage on the lot located at 5 Roy Avenue, Plum Island, Newbury.
I second.
You might wanna add that it's, meets the PIOD.
Oh, and it meets the PIOD.
And it's not more detrimental.
Not more detrimental.
I know it's not your usual thing. Okay, do we have a
No, I
second?
don't know.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes.
Thank
Okay, so you know there's an appeals period before you can get your building permit.
Okay, how long is that?
Okay,
20 days from the date the decision is stamped with the town clerk. So I've got to write the decision, I've got to get all their signatures, and I bring it down to the clerk, get it stamped, and that's when the clock starts. So
Okay,
I'll send you a note and let you know that it's been written, it's with the clerk, I want it to be ready for pickup.
Alrighty.
and
Okay?
then you need to register it.
Yeah, I'll give you directions.
They'll give you directions
Yeah.
for it,
okay,
and then after all that's done, then you can go to CN for a permit,
alrighty.
okay? Good
Did you
luck.
say you
Thank
wanted
you.
a, did you want a,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
scale plan for the record?
Right.
Please.
So,
Okay, I can't believe I don't have one, but,
and do you want a larger one of these
Yeah,
for the
please.
Yeah,
record?
because we just can't.
yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, just so if somebody wants to pull it out and look at it, it's a little bit easier.
You got it?
And
Thank
it's
you,
the other
folks.
thing I need,
Oh, you need that tonight?
before you pick up your decision, cause I won't release it without it.
Okay, I didn't even know, so I didn't bring it tonight.
You can talk to the messenger.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Last but not least.
Ready to roll? Evelyn Noyce of 12 Rogers Lane is requesting a special permit for relief from section 9710D of the Newbury zoning bylaws, as the proposed construction requires a special permit for the lot of property located at 12 Rogers Lane in Byfield, assessors map R20, lot 16. Hello, Evelyn. How are you?
Thank you.
You ever been on that side before?
It's a lot like this side, I hope.
Okay.
In the process of settling my brother's affairs, I found that there was no permit on record for an apartment that he put in over the barn, so that's why I'm here to get it permitted.
So, you need to give us more information than what we got here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, did you get a chance to look at what an accessory apartment, the bylaw is for an accessory apartment?
Did I look at it?
Yeah,
Not really, no.
No,
I thought I remembered.
okay, well, I think it's for detached, can't remember if it's after you were here or before, that makes no difference, but anyhow, we need a little more information because the bylaw. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, you already separated it out,
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yours is a detached.
Yeah.
So, minimum lot size, because it's existing, is 40,000 square feet. It's a lot, 40,000 square feet.
Yeah, is, 4.9.
Okay,
Plenty.
okay, that's plenty, but we're gonna need, to see that. Okay, so where accessory apartments are permitted in existing detached accessory structures, any interior modifications to the accessory structure shall be consistent. Well, yours is already existing, because that's what your
Yes.
brother did.
She did include this style.
Yeah, but, yeah. So. I should have probably started,
Oh, we wanna use this. This might be a little easier for you.
Yeah.
It really goes right down the,
Right.
so if you wanna use that,
Yeah.
take it.
okay. I'm not gonna read everything here at home, but, okay. Where's the size on it? The bylaw allows detached from existing single-family dwellings, may be authorized by the zoning board. The accessory apartment will be a complete separate dwelling unit that contains both permanent kitchen and bathroom and has its own means of egress, so you're okay with that?
Yeah.
The owners of record of the residence in which the accessory apartment is created must continue to occupy at least one of the dwelling units as their primary residence.
Right,
And that's a deed restriction also.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew that.
All right. So, the gross interior floor of the primary dwelling shall be at least 1,600 square feet.
Yeah.
So you get that?
The primary is 1650.
That's good?
What's that to
We
be?
need plans to-
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
So, the accessory apartment shall not be greater than 35% of the gross interior floor area of the primary dwelling as defined in the bylaw, above 1,000 square feet. So, what is the size of the apartment?
533.
You made that too? 560 is 35%. Yeah. And, okay, so, does it have more than 2 bedrooms?
The apartment?
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
1 bed.
What's the total number for the whole lot though? For the structure and, for the house and the standalone?
Of bedrooms,
Yeah.
there's 3 in the house and 1 in the
Once you got
apartment.
4 in all, what's the system?
That I don't have any information on.
Okay. We'll have to figure out what the system is, we'll have to know what the system is, what
Okay.
it'll hold.
Alright.
And utilities such as water, electric, and gas necessary for the accessory dwelling unit shall be extensions of the existing utilities serving the principal single-family dwelling. Is that the way it's set up?
The barn was built for, he had an antique business there.
Okay.
And so there was electricity there, and there was heat there. So the apartment is feeding off those.
As a separate
Separate.
service to the
Separate.
main house, or the same service to the main house?
The barn has its own service.
Okay, so that's, could be an issue. With the way the bylaw is written, everyone. It sounds like the size of the apartment is fine, the size of the, primary residence is fine,
The lot complies.
the lot complies. So, we need to, just have proof of the main house. Something for proof of the apartment over the barn.
Do you want a drawing, you mean?
Yes.
A drawing,
Yeah,
okay.
some kind of a plan.
So mine doesn't count,
Well,
my little,
you'll know what you need to do.
yeah, I've got something like that I drew, but that's, I can get, that's all I've got. Got pictures. again.
Right, this,
We can say it.
and,
The existing house too, or something to
yeah, we need to
meet
know,
the existing house too, to confirm.
in the existing house, you could use a,
Yeah.
Even the
something from the
assessor's card,
assessor's
maybe,
card.
you know,
Yeah,
maybe a
get
copy
that.
that you got a copy of the
Okay,
assessor's card.
so just hold on to that. And, you were wondering about the septic?
Yes.
Yeah, so you gotta check into that.
Is that all right? Or do, I think I've got a larger one at home.
So there's the
That's
house,
from-
and there's the, right. We just need something that says the square footage.
It does.
Okay.
The main dwelling is 1456, the wood deck is 210. And then there's a couple of first floor overhangs of 42 square feet, 48 square feet, and 104. These little overhangs are, everything's listed there, Howie, but you gotta be a mole to read it.
Is that an assessment document, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the,
Okay,
the,
yeah, assessment patriot, yeah.
And, the way the bylaw reads, Evelyn, you're gonna need to change the, service to the,
off the main house.
off the main house. Which are,
You want this one, is that better for you?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, that is a little better. It's a slight bit bigger.
Okay, so you want it fed off the,
no, we don't, this is what the planning board.
yeah, no, I know,
Yeah, so, the way, yeah, I did read it to you.
yeah, you did.
So, you need to feed the apartment from the, main residence.
Okay,
And it would only have to be the apartment, you don't have to feed the rest of it from the, so you don't have to take that service away, just comply with the
Right.
bylaws, so the apartment's fed that way.
yeah. Okay,
And,
so the electric and the heat too?
Oh, no, no,
Oh,
no, not the heat.
Okay,
electric and water.
Electric and water,
okay. Well, the water is.
comes through the same meter. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's easy then.
One meter, you're all set. So it's just changing the electric service.
All right.
And, who checks on the septic system?
Board of Health, will hopefully they'll have a record as to what that system was designed for.
Okay, all right.
So-
And so I can, I'll call Debbie and
Call
find
Deb and
out.
ask her if she's, yeah, she's got a record of
Okay.
the septic on that property.
All right.
So unfortunately, you're gonna have to come back.
All right.
Like
Join the
almost
crowd.
everybody else, yeah, it's not.
You'll meet all your friends next
Right,
month.
right. Anybody like to speak in favor of the project?
Well, I just have a couple of questions.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Can I have your name? Sorry. Name?
Name.
It's Theodore Kirby.
Okay.
Okay.
What would be the difference between having this, having it as a separate apartment versus having it as an in-law apartment, an in-law space? I'm trying to understand why it's going to an apartment rather than being
Because-
sold as is with an in-law.
That's the way the, bylaw is written now.
It's the way our zoning went.
It's to encourage, things like, for children, parents,
It was to increase the amount of rentals in town where we don't have that many rentals.
Okay, so that's the concept
Correct.
behind it.
Right.
Yes.
right.
This ruling only impacts the structure as is, it can't be built, you know, it isn't going to change the building itself.
No, by definition, it can't change the building, actually, to be the accessory in an existing building. Those features of that existing building are to remain to the maximum extent possible.
Right. So, some people come before us and wanna build, new construction,
Right, right.
and that has to fit in with,
In a different way.
in a different way.
Okay. No, I was just, I'm new to this.
That's okay.
And it's like we see his house.
Yeah,
And in his barn.
Oh, which one are you
I'm
now?
right back.
right and right.
Oh, in the
I can
back?
throw a rock at it if I can
Oh,
throw.
okay.
Anybody else
I'm
like to,
right there.
anybody
I
else like to
wondered if-
speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Don Blaze, I live at 50 Fruit Street.
Okay.
The barn that Bobby put up a few years back, 8, 9 years ago, how tall is that?
28,
Okay, so we're underneath the 35 feet,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, when that was built, nobody came around and asked anyone in the neighborhood, you know, about a barn. He just put it up on his own, and that's the legal way of doing things in Byfield.
Well, no,
That's why we're here now.
When you pull a building permit, there is not a requirement to notify abutters when you're doing something on your property if it meets zoning. Or if you don't need a special permit for it. So if I come in for a kitchen remodel on my house, or if I wanna put a shed in the backyard and it meets, my neighbor doesn't know other than looking over the fence and seeing what I'm doing. If you need a special permit or it doesn't meet the requirements set forth in zoning, then you need to come before the zoning board
No,
or the
I was
planning
just
board.
listening to you earlier, telling, you know, some of the other people, you know, the houses were spoiling their views because
Okay.
somebody else was building.
Plum Island is different than the rest of Newbury.
Okay,
It's a
well, that's why I'm asking.
PILD, there's an overlay, no, there's an overlay zoning district on Plum Island that doesn't apply to the rest of the town.
It doesn't apply to the rest of the town.
Right.
There is a wetland bylaw and a Plum Island overlay district relative to the water and sewer that we put in down there. When we put water and sewer in down there, we had to put on a ton of growth controls so that we could use the state revolving fund to put it in down there. So that's why they have special zoning and special overlay.
So why do we have, I'm Nancy Blaze, why do we have to be here tonight if, when they built the barn, put an apartment on, we weren't notified, but we're here tonight?
Because we didn't know about the apartment then.
This is an after the fact filing for the unit in the
Evelyn
barn.
is trying to straighten out to make the property legal.
No, the apartment, we don't care about the
Yeah,
apartment.
yeah.
I'm just concerned about all these condos that might show up on Bob's old property. That's all.
They can't build, I already got that.
Well, yeah, but they can build after they sell it. You can come back with other people for condos.
Well,
Well,
we don't
they
know.
could come in with other projects.
Right.
I would
So we're
think
just
that you
saying-
might not see too many condos back there, but, I mean, yes, they could modify the property potentially in the future.
Right, okay.
And,
Yeah, but they build on.
according to the builder, my son tracked down the builder, and the builder said he was there when the building inspector came through to inspect the apartment. But it's a moot point because we don't have a permit on file anywhere.
But if that's true, when they put the apartment, they ask the abutters then, no? They still don't, if it was a legal apartment?
Well, it wasn't legal when it was put in, so when someone sneaks something in now, they don't consult the neighbors.
She's saying that they did.
Well, this was 9-10 years ago, too.
I've been here 40 years.
Yeah.
We're dealing with what we have now, we're trying to make
So
a,
what likely happened is he built it without a building permit. So if he were to come to the building inspector and say, fill out an application, the building inspector would go, oh, I'm sorry, I have to send you to zoning because our zoning bylaw doesn't allow that, and kick off the process. That didn't happen. So the building went up. Now Evelyn has the building and she's trying to make it whole
Right, I
and
see that.
legal after the fact.
Well, Bob himself came over when they were building the barn, and he said to her, wow, I didn't know it was gonna be that big himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, why don't you take this with you?
Yeah, I've got a copy.
No, this
No, you
one,
have a copy of
Oh,
this.
you don't have
Oh,
the
all
cheat
right.
sheet.
Okay. Now, listen, can I borrow your pen back?
Certainly, yeah.
So you want, I don't have to come in and draw that apartment?
No, I don't think we need an architect, at least not for me. I don't think you need to spend that money. I'd be satisfied with something a little better than this, not to insult the author. But, you know, something with maybe a ruler and some straight lines and, you know, adequately depicts,
Dimensions.
with some dimensions on it.
Second grade.
Yeah.
Second
Well, all
grade.
right, you know, yeah, okay, if this is first, second would be good.
And with the,
Now, what if, the other is septic, so if it's a 3-bedroom septic, what do I have to do?
You
The
would have to-
house was originally 3 bedrooms, well, the house is 3 bedrooms.
You would have to modify the septic system for the extra bedrooms, so you'd have to come up with, somehow you'd have to come up with 440 gallons of flow per day.
how long
Or
was the
remove the
septic
bedroom.
system put in?
What?
Or remove a bedroom.
Right, or remove a bedroom, that's another, if you could remove a bedroom from the main house, that's another way to handle it.
Okay. And,
Have you done Title V yet?
I did Title V,
In the
I'm
past?
hoping he,
Or you
yeah,
don't?
I'm hoping he put that on there, whatever it was. Would he know?
Probably not, because what he's gonna do is he's gonna pull the covers and he's gonna expose everything and he's gonna go in and flush everything and make sure it comes out of the house okay,
Yeah.
make sure that it runs into the
Yeah.
system and it's not backing up from the field, but he's not gonna know what the field was designed, chances are,
Right.
he doesn't know what the field's designed for when he does this.
I don't think he's done an upgrade, but I don't know. I'm going through all the paperwork, I'm trying to find stuff, but.
So the Board of Health,
They should have it on file.
they should have it for you.
Okay.
Hopefully, that'll be a help.
Okay. And I gotta put the electric
Sure. From
from
the
the house.
main house to the apartment. You can leave the barn the way it
separate,
is.
yeah. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
and if you look at Doug's cheat sheet, it'll
Yeah.
spell everything out,
Yeah.
what you need.
I thought I read it, I'm like.
I'm sure you read it.
Well,
but
this
it-
one's nice because it'll hide, everything that you need is gonna jump out at you,
Okay.
so.
Alright.
So can you
Okay.
come back on the 27th with everybody else?
27th
of
is-
April.
That's a Thursday,
Yep.
yep.
Okay. So we'll continue.
One second, she has
Oh,
one thing.
yeah, you
For
need
you,
to
so,
sign.
do you want to thank?
Yeah.
Not that I, not that I don't,
Said that.
again, I'm not here to insult anybody.
What's that? Well,
Well, that was the deed restriction I was talking about earlier on, yes.
so when everyone sells it, whoever buys it's gonna have to live there. Or they can't have an apartment.
Not only can't have an apartment, if the person that owns it is not living there, it gets revoked. Our decision is revoked at that point. It's in the language.
It's just that, I can't put it on the market.
I-
I can put it on the market and without, just say the apartment is not permitted and let them do what they wanna with it.
But you know something, nowadays, the bank, if that gets back to the banks, they're gonna be balking at it. and-
Right,
No, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
right, okay, well,
Now, here, take this one too.
oh, you want that?
Well, give us everything next
Yeah,
time.
yeah, include that with your new information, that way we've got that on the record for the primary dwelling.
Alright, so what I have here is all you need now,
Right,
okay,
but make sure you take a look at Doug's cheat sheet.
I will.
That's
Alright,
important.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn.
Good night,
Good
Evan.
luck.
Sitting here tonight, I often wondered if I
Yes,
missed
sir?
the zoning board, sitting here tonight, I don't.
That was a cue for you, huh?
It was, I feel bad for the people, but I know you've gotta do your thing.
Right.
Well, I feel bad for this guy, and I wanna say, it's you're supposed to read this, you're supposed to take that and put it over here, and you didn't do that. I fail to see how that's my fault, but sitting here, I'm fine with me. If you wanna vent a little bit, I don't care,
There's only really one that was upset.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear what went on in the hall? No.
I'm sure we know what went on. We didn't have to hear it.
Okay, you all have a nice weekend.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Somebody wanna close the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Motion to close the meeting?
Seconded?
All in favor?